hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tea and Cornbread. I'm your host, Sean Johnson,
And I'm Tracy Davis hyphen Johnson.
and we are here today. Our conversation is going to be about empowerment.
Yes,
And
yes.
so what's going on, Miss Trey?
Just that empowerment.
Empowerment? All
Yes,
right.
I think we as women, especially Black women, not to take from any other um, culture, diversity group, or anything like that, have so much power.
We do. Who was it? I think it's Jill Scott. Is it Jill Scott? I don't remember. But anyway, they talk about, there's power.
And we have to
Like we
remember
don't know
that
our power as women.
we don't,
Yeah,
we
we don't
don't
know our
recognize
power
it.
as women.
We
Right.
really don't. One thing that we do, and we have to remember to carry it each and every day.
Right.
We go to different seminars, we have different conversations with our sister friends, with
I
our
was
family.
hold on. I was getting ready to say because we just jumped into the
We did
conversation.
because I think we are so passionate about it that we just
Yeah,
want to go.
right. So before you go into it, right?
Okay, okay. Let's back it
I
up a
know you
little.
went to an event over the weekend
I did.
and it was about women empowerment,
It was.
right?
It
Okay.
was.
So now, I had to give the precursor, right? It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
yes, we're talking about empowerment, but specifically women empowerment
Yes.
and specifically Black women empowerment. And like you said,
Correct.
not to take away from anyone else, a woman is a woman, but
Mhm.
at the same time, we all deal with things differently,
Yes.
culturally,
Yes.
and so on. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so tell us about it.
And you know what? And the more that we're sitting here and we're talking about it, not to take from, uh, I'm lost for words, but the person that put it on, and I don't want to say the person, I just don't want to give their name only because maybe we'll have that person on also to
Yeah,
get a little
yeah,
bit deeper into
yeah.
it. But what I wanted to touch on and what I just took away from it is how powerful it was in the room.
Mm,
Um, as you know, it's not the first women's empowerment seminar that I have attended. And it's so funny that I attended one um, earlier this month and then now one at the end of the month, you know.
mm-hmm.
And when you go, you get along the same messages because we're all wanting to make sure that we are taking care of
Each,
us,
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know.
yeah.
And it feels so good when you're sitting in that room and everybody's talking. One thing that I took away is from all walks of life were in that room. And what I mean from that is from people who had degrees to the highest level,
Mm-hmm.
to women who may have just graduated from high school.
Oh, wow.
And we're not judging,
Right, right, right,
and nobody stood up to say, I have a degree in this, look at me.
right.
That's not what they stood up to say. They stood up to say, hey, I went to school for this and this is how I got there. There
Mm,
was someone who spoke in a room. I think she said she was 60 and she had gotten her bachelor's, you know,
mm-hmm,
and then you look at her and you're thinking, you're how old? Like
mm-hmm.
and that just goes to prove to you, never
Age,
stop learning,
yeah,
never
yeah.
stop
I say
educating yourself,
I'm a career student.
and we are, and I remember my parents always saying, you learn something new every day, whether you realize it or not, you really, really do. Um, Being in that room yesterday, when you walk in, you don't know what to expect.
Mm-hmm,
You go in with a clear mind, as you should,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
because I don't know what I'm walking into, who I'm walking into, if it's going to be familiar faces, family, friends, or not.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but it was awesome to see, again, not just the degrees that people carried or the age.
The age,
It
yeah.
was,
Mm-hmm.
someone there that was 80 something years old.
Nice,
You know what I'm saying?
nice.
And it
And
was a
that can
blessing.
pour in wisdom.
And that's what somebody told her.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
can
for being
pour.
here because your
Yes,
wisdom,
yes, yes.
she's going to be able to share stuff that we think we know or we have read
But
that
we have
she
been
have
through it.
experienced.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, there was younger women there in their 20s, that needed to hear that
Mm-hmm,
needed to hear the message that was given.
mm-hmm,
And sometimes we think our younger generation, don't want to listen.
mm-hmm.
They're not paying attention.
But they
That's
are.
not true. They
Right.
may not always engage. They
Mm-hmm,
may not always have a comment. They may not always ask a question. They're paying attention.
mm-hmm. So, was there a keynote speaker?
They had three different young ladies that spoke. The one that put it on, I'm just going to say her name. She's my aunt, Nada. She put it
Okay.
on.
Mm-hmm.
She spoke. Um, she had two other young ladies that spoke, and their names do not come into my head. One of them was Ari, and I can't remember the other young lady that spoke. But the message that they gave was so welcoming and so empowering.
Mhm.
Another thing that stuck out in my mind, one of the young ladies that attended it stood up, and she's a nurse, and she had made the suggestion, and I thought this was an awesome suggestion. Unfortunately, ran out of time for this, but she said if everybody stood up and just spoke and said their name and what they do, and it wasn't to point fingers, it was to educate people,
Right, and to really just
open
give
up
a
your,
sense of give a sense of community,
yes,
and meaning also too, it
here's your
doesn't
source,
matter
here's
where
your
you come
resources are
from.
in here.
Yes, yes. Yeah, these are your
Yes, these are your
resources.
resources.
Right. Yes, that's awesome.
Yes, and
Hmm.
when she stood up and started saying, what she did, she was a nurse and she's passionate about what she does, and she's been a nurse for X amount of years. And then the next person stood up and they said what their career was and what they were doing in
Hmm.
life.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Um, like I said, the whole room didn't get to do that, but even with that one table, all the education and the power that was at that table.
Hmm.
If you got a question, ask me.
And connect. Yeah,
You know,
and that comes back to community.
that's it.
Comes back to
And that's what it
unity.
was.
You know what I
We're
mean?
here for each other. Even though we
Exactly.
don't know each other, I
Exactly.
am here for you. You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Um, you,
And
my niece said to me, "Would you have gotten up and what would you have said when you gotten up? Would you have told them about your podcast?" And to be honest, it didn't even dawn on me.
mhm.
But for her to be paying attention to say, "Auntie, would you have told them about your podcast when they got to you?"
Mhm.
I didn't even think about it. I said, "Sure, I would have," but
You don't
I
know.
was thinking, what am I
Yeah.
going to say? What do I do that's so
Right.
that I could help somebody with? You know what I mean? But yet, this is what I'm doing right now.
Exactly.
This is what I've
That
done without being in front of this camera and talking to
exactly.
you. You
Exactly.
know?
You do it, and that's because where we grew up and how we grew up, right? It was black excellence.
Yes.
So meaning
Yes.
we had the templates and the people around us that were doing things like that 80-year-old person.
Mm-hmm.
How many people did she touch in her
Her
lifetime,
lifetime.
right? And we don't know unless you're fostering that type of community. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so having
Exactly.
having that event fostered that community.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is awesome because I'm passionate about unity.
Your connections.
Yeah, I'm
Your connections
passionate
are very,
about
very important.
really, like you said, connecting people and
Mm-hmm.
giving people, having resources for people, and being a resource
Yes.
for someone. Mentoring, that's where
Yes.
mentoring comes in too,
Yes.
mentoring
Mm-hmm.
those people. I love that that person stood up to say that because you don't know who you can call.
Yes.
You
Here's your
know what I mean?
network. Here's your
Here's your
network.
network.
Yep.
Everybody in this room is connected one way, shape, or form.
Mm-hmm.
And know that you have access.
Yes.
Because
Yes.
you know how some people you get intimidated walking in the room, feeling
Yes.
like you're less than,
Yep.
or feeling that,
I don't
yeah,
level up to what,
right. I don't have a degree.
you
Who
didn't
am
feel like
I?
that.
And this, that, and the other. And that
Yes.
wasn't the point. The point is
Yes.
you didn't have to have a
You
degree
didn't have to have a
to make an
degree.
impact or to be a resource for
Exactly.
someone. You just have to have passion
Hmm.
for others.
That's it. That's it.
You just have to have passion for other
Like I
people.
said, you have to go in there with a clear mind, and you can't go in there with expectations because you don't know what to expect when you go
Right.
somewhere.
Right.
And I think we've lost that. Like you said, we grew up, like I said, previously, that um, our parents didn't turn us against any other color, culture, whatever, but they did instill in us that we
We
are
are.
awesome at the
Absolutely.
end of the day.
Absolutely.
I remember, and I'm sitting here thinking little things that my mom used to say to me when it just came to relationships with men. And you listen, but you really don't pay attention until it hits you, and you're like, this is what she
This is
was
what she was
saying.
talking
You
about.
know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day. Going back to the seminar yesterday, we need more of that.
Mm.
We've gotten
On a
away from
regular.
that. For some reason, we've gotten away from that. Some of the faces in there, um, I don't remember everybody that I've crossed paths with growing up.
Mhm.
But, you know, there was another young lady that came over, and the first thing she said, you know, Skipping Diane, you are
Yeah, yeah,
Skipping
yeah.
Diane. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah.
And you get kind of like, oh,
I'm
because you
taken
can't
aback.
remember the face.
Right.
But then
But
it
then,
comes full circle because there's so many people in there when everybody starts talking. And that's what happened when people start talking and saying, you know, this person is that person. It kind of comes full circle to where I've met you along the lines. I just didn't remember because we've been so separate.
right.
Everybody's been doing their own thing, living their own lives,
Right,
you know?
right. And you move out of the community that you
Yes.
grew up
Yes.
in and things,
You make other connections to where the connections that
Right,
you knew you can count on, you didn't, you know, it's not that
right.
you don't look for them, you just move
You
on.
forget. You
You move
forget.
on.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
move on. But I think the shift is happening. I feel a shift.
Yeah.
I see a shift.
Yeah.
We're witnessing a
Yes.
shift of back togetherness.
Positivity.
Yeah,
Us not
but
looking at each other, women looking at each other when back in the
with a
day.
side eye.
Yes. Look at
you
her.
know,
Who does she think
now
she
we're looking
is?
at her like,
Yes.
girl, your hair. You know me, it's
Yes.
about hair all the time, right?
Yes.
Your hair. I love your hair. I don't care
Mhm.
who it is. If I love your hair and I see and I notice it, I'm saying
Yes.
it. And you don't know that right there
Is a
is it can it
morale
morale booster.
booster.
Yes,
Say
and
hello to somebody.
it's
Say hi.
period.
Not like
Period.
this though. Don't say hi and keep moving. Say hi and take a second to see if the person's going to say something back. Not just hi, because sometimes when you say hi or hello, how you doing? Sometimes people have stuff to say, but sometimes we so busy we just being polite. Hi, how you doing? And we keep moving.
Right. So yeah, we just got to get back to that. I think I feel a shift though. I feel a shift of us coming back together.
Yeah.
I feel a shift of us being concerned about our own in a way that it was when we were younger.
Mhm.
And all these different organizations and different events and things like that they have a common theme.
Yes, definitely.
They have a common theme. So I'm excited about, that you went to this event and felt that, right?
Right.
Because and kudos to the person that stood up and said, "Listen, who is in the room? We just
Yes.
want to know,
Yes.
who are you,
Yep.
right? I am this and whatever whatever."
Right.
And the person next to her stood up,
Yes.
whatever, right? But and for that person that didn't feel confident enough to
Mhm.
stand up, hopefully that person will feel it again or bump into someone that she met or saw at that
Mhm.
event
Mhm.
and say hi and say, "I met you at," or, "I saw
Exactly.
you at,"
Yes. Feel comfortable
feel
enough to
comfortable,
say,
right?
yes, I
And
remember.
that's the other thing too, is when we grew up with um, a sense of self.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And I think that shift is coming back. And we
Yes.
need to teach these kids. And I'm glad there were high schoolers, like you were saying, in that room, because how are they going to learn? They're not going to learn anything. And sometimes they think they're alone. Social media,
Mhm.
phones and all that have separated people.
Yes. They
And
think it's
so
not for them. They think it's not for them. They think it's for the older generation.
that's because they're being programmed.
Yeah. But that here we go with that again because I think that's what it is too. You're saying you feel a shift. I think we've gotten away from that shift because people have told us that we're not together. We're not one.
Or
We're
we don't.
not
I
unified.
know a person that says to me all the time, when we look at other cultures that come together and build
Oh, they
their
could live
community,
together, but we can't.
right? And so there's a couple of people say to me, "Yeah, but we can't, and we don't, and this, that, and other." And I said, "Well, as long as we keep saying that, we're not
We're
going
not
to."
going to.
So instead of being negative and
Yes.
always pointing out that we may not.
Tell the positive because there's
Exactly.
stories out there where people are
What?
doing it.
No, we're doing it.
Yeah.
Not even so much their stories. Yes, we're witnessing it. Like we said, there's a shift.
There's a shift.
The person that put on your aunt that put on this event,
Hmm.
that was a shift to bring people together, bring women together.
Right.
So we are the queens of the
Hmm.
world,
Exactly.
not just of our community, right? We are the queens of the world. We move regardless. We do
We
things. We're
do.
quick to
We
to
do.
bring about people together,
Hmm.
right? And that's what the shift. I see the shift. I'm listening to other people's podcasts that I don't know any of these people. We're doing the co-op. That's another thing. Meeting people around the nation
Hmm.
that are doing co-ops, and they have
Like-minded things.
like-minded. That's why I said the common thread. There is a common thread happening right now.
Right.
And so this is why doing the podcast, I'm loving this, right? I'm loving these conversations because we have these conversations on a regular at our kitchen table. Now we're sharing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because why? We want to bring together people. We
Yes.
want people to come together. And we as women, black, white, and indifferent, doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
You know, we need to come to, we are coming together. Not we need. We are coming
We are
together
coming together.
little by little, right? And when you the more you talk about it, the more people are
Paying
having these
attention,
common
educating themselves.
nope, having these common conversations. Like it's not new
Well,
now.
that's coming together and educating yourself, though.
Right. It's not new. And so for that person that's listening that says, okay, somebody said to me not too long ago too, they live here. They've been living here for more than 20 years. They're not from here. They're not from Connecticut. And she says, I don't have a sisterhood. She says, I don't, there's no one that I have a sisterhood with. She's like, Sean, you call me every
Mm-hmm.
now and then. And I said, okay. I said, yeah, I call people when you think about them. If you're thinking about somebody. So people that we grew up with that we haven't seen in years,
Mm-hmm.
we got to look for them on Facebook to just connect, reconnect,
Well, I'm
right?
bad.
No, no,
I don't
no,
have
but
Facebook.
still, or if you know somebody that still keeps in contact with this person or that person, reach out to them and say, how is so and so? Give her my number, or can I have her number? I
That's what I was
just
going
want
to
to
say.
call and say
They have to
hi.
make that connection, though.
Right. And people don't understand that's just how simple it is. It's just calling somebody to say, I was thinking about you,
Mm-hmm. I
and
think
that
they understand it.
reconnects people.
We just got to make the time
Yeah,
to do
well,
it.
no, it's not. It don't take but 2 seconds. We on our phone in our cars.
No, no, no. We don't make the time, though. It doesn't matter. We have the time. We just ain't making the time. We got to make the time to
Speak
make
for
those
yourself,
connections.
because I make the time. I call people when I'm thinking of people. I do, and I have receipts. I have
Well,
receipts.
she got a cluttered desk, but she's calling
Right,
people.
but I call people absolutely. 'Cause that's why it's cluttered, because I'm doing other things.
No,
But
but when I say that, I say as people, it sounds easy enough. And even when I go to sit down, I'll say that, oh, such and such called me, or such and such sent me a text. Let me send them a text. But I don't do it.
but
So I
that's
have
you,
to make the time.
right? Yeah,
You have to make the time.
I challenge you. I
Hmm.
challenge you to
Okay.
call one person. It doesn't. I don't have to be a specific person, but a person that you've been thinking about that you haven't talked to in a while. I challenge you. We don't have.
See, I
We
don't,
can.
you know what though? I don't think I could take that challenge because I'm just sitting here thinking as you said that,
You
who do
don't.
I,
You
no,
don't
no,
have to.
no,
You
no,
don't have,
no. I'm
because
trying
it's
to
gonna
think. Let
come
me,
automatic.
no, 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 because there's nobody that I do not connect with that I feel like I'm out of sorts with. Does that make sense?
You don't have to be out of sorts with anybody to think about them. So,
But
say
no,
for instance, think
no, I'm
of.
sitting here honestly. I'm trying to think who have I not talked to that I probably need to reach out to,
See,
and
you're
nobody's
putting too
popping in
much
my
into
mind
it. You're putting too much into it. It's not that deep. It really isn't. It
because I
just
don't.
it's not that deep, because you know what? It can be a month from now or 2 months from now, right? Where you could, think about, when's the last time I talked to so and so. You know what I
Oh, I
mean?
thought you was going
And
to say a name. I'm
no, no,
like,
no, no, because I can't say a name for
no,
you.
no, no. I
You
thought
know
you
what I
meant in our
mean?
sister group.
Oh
That's why I thought
no,
you were
no,
going to
no,
say
no.
like somebody like that.
Nope. So, like for instance, when we think about Pearl Lake,
Mhm.
right? When we
Mhm.
think about Pearl Lake and how we grew up, and there's two people that I think about, and one person I did
Okay.
reach out to. One person I did it a couple years ago now though. A couple years ago, I was thinking of I won't say her name, and I found her,
Mhm.
and so I reached out via Messenger, and that was it.
I take your
But
challenge because you just made a light bulb go off in my head. So I
yeah,
take your
and
challenge.
so it just happens sometimes. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It just happens. And there's one person, one of my clients. She moved to California, and I was keeping in contact with her via email because, and I have to get back to this, sending the devotionals out. My sister sends them to me every day, and I was automatically just sending them to people whether I read it or not. I was
Mhm.
just automatically sending it, and I was doing it more consistently for a long time, and I haven't in a while. And I don't know if that's since COVID or what, but I haven't in a while. But I had over 100 people I was sending it to
Mhm.
every day. When she sent it to me, I was just forwarding it, right? And one of my clients that moved to California, She was only here in Connecticut maybe 2, 3 years, and I was doing her hair. She found me online, and we connected, and we stayed connected.
Mm-hmm.
And then every now and then I think about her, and she's a basketball player. She was coaching. She was doing all these things. And every now and then I think about her, and it gets sparked when I'm watching girls basketball. That's when I start thinking about her. And I'll reach out, and her phone number hasn't changed. And she'll answer the phone. Oh my God, that kind of thing. And she said to me one time when I called her, she said, I just want you to know that I appreciate you because you call me, and when you call me, I'm dealing with something, and you lift my spirits, and you let me know just from your calling, not from a conversation, but just from you thinking about me, that everything is going to be all right.
And that's good. But I think on the flip side of that too, us as women, we need to reach out when we need help, when we need to talk.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
have to wait for you to pick up the phone and
right.
say that. And I'm not saying that particular
No, 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 I
situation. I
get
just
it.
mean in life.
Yeah,
And that does happen to people.
because you know why? Because they'll say, but you're busy, and I know you're busy, and I
Yeah,
know you
we
got a
make
lot going on.
excuses.
Yeah,
We're sitting here talking about empowerment and having our sister group, people we can call, people
yeah,
we can lean on, people we can learn from, but
we don't.
we need to take that step.
Yeah.
Just listening to that story, and I'll speak for myself because I'll do the opposite. And you've done that to me. I'll shut down.
Listen, I'll knock on your door,
I'll shut down.
and I've done that.
Like there's been times she has gotten in her car and I open the door and she's like, wait a minute, something went right. So, and I have to learn, even in my older age, not to do that. But that's how I deal. That's my dealing mechanism is not to talk, not to call, not to answer.
But that's not healthy for
No, no,
us.
no, it's
I
not. And
know.
I'm learning and I'm trying
Right.
to
And it comes with
know
time.
to say, hey, I've done it 1,001 times a day. I see that. Oh, I'm about to call you. She's like, well, why didn't you? You
Right.
know.
Right.
So yeah, and I think this is where this not only helps us women of a certain age, it helps the younger generation also.
Absolutely.
That don't wait till you get here to figure it out, or try to say you
Right.
need to figure it out.
Right.
You don't have to wait until you're 50 plus
And I was
to
talking to
50 figure
somebody
it out.
yesterday. I said, you can't figure it out because you don't know what to do.
You don't know what
How
to
are you going
do.
to figure it out
Yes.
if you don't call somebody that already
Yes.
did?
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's where mentors come in. That's
Exactly.
where that's
Yes.
where going back to
Ask
the
for
young
help
lady
though.
going back to the young lady that stood up and said, "This is what I do." Everybody stand up and say, "What do you do?" Because those resources
Yes.
are there, and people. Now, I'm a person that if I say to you, "You can call me," I mean it.
Right.
Don't say it if you don't mean it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You got to be that person. If you don't mean it, don't say
Yeah.
it.
If you're not going to be available.
Right. Mean
Yeah.
what you say and say what you mean,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to supporting people and,
Mhm.
and uplifting people or being that person for someone. And you may not be with that. Like, okay, so I have a cousin. If I stop asking her how she's doing, I stop. I'm going to be
Okay.
honest with you because she's a Debbie Downer for everything. Everything is I'm hurting or I've been to the doctor
Mhm.
and I did everything is, and so in my head I'm like,
It brings you down.
yeah, so and I try to divert the
That's
conversation.
what I was going to say. What do you do
Yeah, I
to
try to
turn that
divert the
around?
conversation, like, my doctor said da 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 da, and then they gave me on this medication and da 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 da, and she goes on and on and on, and when she
Mhm.
finishes, and I'll go, okay, but what you doing about it? What are you doing about it? What do you want to do about it? And when you ask a person that when they're going down that rabbit hole,
They don't know
they
what
don't
to
know
say.
what to do or say because they're
Yeah.
so consumed with the negative
Negative.
aspect of it.
Yeah.
When I am a solutionist, I don't know if that's a word, but I made it up. I am a person that's like, okay, but what's the solution? Yeah, like for instance, um, putting our event together, and I lost my caterer, two caterers, and we had a week left, and I called your aunt,
Mhm.
and she came through right away. You know what I mean? So I wasn't thinking about, oh my God, this, that, and other, but I didn't think about it like that because guess what? The show still had to happen.
And that's so funny that you say that because you have to keep moving on.
You
When
have
there
to.
are roadblocks, you could do one or two things: move forward or say, I give up. I don't want to
Yeah,
do it.
you
Because you could have
can't.
shut the whole thing down and
Yes.
said, no, I don't want to do that. And this is another thing that brings me back to the event yesterday. And I say we have to have her up there because she has a familiar story. And I don't want to tell her story let
Yeah,
her
we're
come
gonna
up
call
here
her. We're gonna
and
call
and
her. I
let
hope she
her
listened
talk
to this
about it.
episode.
Yeah, let her
I'm
talk
gonna call her
about
when
it,
we leave.
why she put it together.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of stuff, again, is familiar to what you're saying happened with your event. Some of the goings on that happened at her event. Going back to even that, another young lady stood up, and she was saying how she's still in school. And she's, I'm late. And the reason she went into why she was late because she was in school. But at the, she
But she
came
still
late, but
showed
she
up.
showed up.
Yes,
Exactly.
and
It
that's
was
the thing
that
too.
important to her to be there, to share, to see what was going on,
Right.
to be in the room.
Right. To
She
be
had
in
to
the
be in the
room.
room.
She had to be in the room, and I bet you she was more empowered
Yeah, and
when.
you know what? Not only was she late, gave her explanation as to why she was late. I'm here, and this is what I do. I do this, and this, and you know what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what we have to remember. There's is so many different faces, so many different ages, so many educators out there, but we just have to be able to listen
Mm-hmm.
and be able and wanting to reach out. Don't be
Absolutely.
ashamed to ask for,
Don't be
help.
ashamed to ask for help, no matter what that is.
We don't have to carry
Don't
it all.
be right, and we don't have to do it all.
Yeah. And I
We
think
don't.
we've been embedded to believe we do,
Right.
and we don't. And you know what? And I say that lightly because who's made me feel like that but me.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Nobody told me I had to. People
Exactly.
have always had their hands out. People have always said, "Can I help? Can I help?" And it's been Tracy who said, "I got it. I got it." Even though I'm running on fumes and I
Right.
know I need the help. You know what I'm
So,
saying?
okay. So give one thing. You just said it, even though you just said it, but repeat it. Give one thing, one thing, because we're gonna wrap this episode up. One thing that you would suggest to someone to empower them to reach out.
One thing that I would suggest for them to eh, I mean, number one thing that I would suggest is if you need help, if you need suggestions, it could be the littlest thing. So that to me is very huge
One
shoes.
suggestion,
One suggestion is
an action step. What would be the action step that you would give somebody, empower them to do, or challenge them to do?
make a phone call if you need help.
There you go. Make that phone call. It doesn't matter who the person
It
you're
doesn't
calling.
matter.
Just make a phone call and ask for help.
And ask for
If you
help.
don't know who to ask for that particular thing, call someone to see if they know somebody.
Exactly.
Because you know how they said, you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Uh-huh.
That is the truth. That is the truth.
That is.
So I want to say we got to wrap this up.
Yes.
I thank you. I thank you, my sister,
Yes.
for sharing your experience at that Woman Empowerment event. Yes, we got to reach out to your auntie
Yes, we
and
do.
have her on the episode.
I'm gonna leave that
because-
up to you because she's my auntie, so she's gonna be, favorable to me.
Stop it.
I mean,
Anyway,
she is.
this is about empowering each other, right? So either
Yeah,
way,
so I'm empowering you to
to
call
call
my
her. All
aunt.
right, I will. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget to like, share, and comment
Yes.
on this episode, and we will look out for you guys later. Have a
Yeah,
great
have
day.
a great day.